Yeah. Yes, he is. All right, guys. Well, we are live with episode 31.
31. What is up, everybody?
Yeah,
I missed you all last week. I was
in the comments, guys, if you guys are already hopping on, let me know how you felt like I did. Without our boy Randy here, we're out here talking about roofing. We're out here talking about processes. Randy's gone, and I had to take over, right?
Hey, man, he killed it. Like I almost don't have a job anymore. Yeah. I thought he did a great job. I was in Vancouver hanging out, doing a really cool mastermind with some amazing entrepreneurs that I get to, I'm blessed to spend some time with.
Right.
And again, we're also going to be spending some amazing time with some amazing entrepreneurs on this show tonight. This episode, we have an amazing guest that is, a serial entrepreneur. And before I go all in on the introduction, we'll get through the news and notes, but we're pretty excited about this. This is kind of a long time coming, and pretty stoked to bring Eric on here in just a moment.
Yeah. Well, let's start it out this way, right? We have the Job Nimbus Solution Summit coming up on October 22nd, 23rd in Austin, Texas. We were actually on a phone call today with some of the guys out there with Job Nimbus. They said that, they're still having tickets getting purchased now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not too late. And it's in Austin, Texas, so it's going to be a great time. If you want $50 off, you can use Roofing Academy 50, and I'll put it in the notes as the coupon code and get $50 off. You do have to capitalize all that, but like I said, I will put that inside the notes.
Man, this conference is going to be awesome. We've been working on it for a few months here now, and we're doing a couple breakout sessions. We're talking we're really going to go over some awesome things that other roofing company owners can really, really benefit from. This isn't just about technology and how technology and CRMs can help change your business. Like, we're talking about how to build a high performance sales company out of your roofing company. We're talking about production. We have a whole course we're doing on how to build a high performance production department. Nick is doing a course on marketing, how to market and brand your company for success, how to build a company that sells itself. And that's just a little bit. That's not even going into the keynote that I'm doing. We got Ronnie who's on last week. Yeah, he's also doing a breakout and a speech as well. We got an awesome lineup of experienced, successful, high integrity entrepreneurs in this space that are going to be teaching and leading this conference. So if you haven't got your tickets yet, it's not too late. Nope. Really excited. That's Roofing Academy 50. For those of you listening on the podcast, Roofing Academy 50, and you can get your ticket now.
Cool.
All right. So without further ado, I got a little story here. So as an entrepreneur, you tend to meet a lot of people, right? I'm networking all the time, just connecting with other business owners, and Eric and I got connected through a mutual friend that you guys have met as well, Igor, who is with the Breakthrough Academy. And, Igor and I were just hanging out one time on a trip in Canada. He's like, man, you got to meet this guy, Eric. Have you ever had that conversation with somebody where like, you got to meet this guy? I think you guys would connect. You would probably like him. I'm like, all right, I guess I got to meet this guy, Eric. And lo and behold, I'm like, whatever. I guess we kind of went on a little bit of a blind date. And Eric shows up. I'm like, who is this guy? All of a sudden he starts talking. I'm like, oh, I like this guy. And then all of a sudden sparks started flying, and we were kindred spirits. He is the man in the painting industry, entrepreneurial legend. He's just doing things that nobody can shake a stick at. But without further ado, welcome to the show, Eric Barstow.
Well, thank you very much, man. That
can you hear you, buddy?
Oh,
can you hear me all right?
Nothing yet. Check out the audio, man.
I'm talking like normal. You guys, nothing changed here.
Give us just a second. We'll get this
1 second.
Audio back up for Eric here.
That brings.
Of course, he's laughing.
that brings me back to the time we did that whole episode. That whole episode. So this is episode 31, and we did episode what? We did episode 4 without any audio.
Yeah, we did a whole episode once, and that was pretty funny. And then we ended up having to just cut it and redo it, but probably some of our best content. I'm not sure what's going on. Can you guys hear him okay?
I just got a thing that said someone can hear me.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Got you.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
All right. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the introduction. Yeah, so I'm super excited to be here, man. I've been loving watching everything you guys are doing, and Randy's right on the money. Like, we hit it off right away, and he's one of those guys that we don't see each other all that often, but we seem to just be real good friends, even when we don't keep in touch much. So I'm excited to finally be on the show with you guys, and I wish I could have been there in person today, but we had a little bit of a crazy day and some snow in Colorado, so this'll do.
Yeah, man, snow in Colorado already. I don't know if I'm relieved just because it relieves a little bit of pressure on all the work that we've been doing, or if I'm frustrated because of the amount of like opportunity lost because we can't produce when it's snowing out there.
I'm in the same boat, man.
Well, cool, man. Welcome to the show. So normally we like to kind of really talk about the entrepreneurial journey. I mean, obviously we have some cool things that can sell you, but we're not here to sell you anything. We're here to tell you a really good story and provide as much content, much information as we can, especially for those of you out there that are in the process of getting your company up and going. Whether it's a painting company, a roofing company, any sort of construction company, and any company for that matter. There's a lot of things that you can learn when it comes to just pure entrepreneurship and things that you can do. Completely cut me off.
Hold on 1 second.
Are we there? Okay.
Yeah,
I got completely cut off there a second. Sorry, guys.
No, we're good.
So that's what it's all about. So let's talk about the journey, man. Let's get to know Eric Barstow a little bit. Let's go back to
You guys can still hear me. I don't think you probably can. Okay. Yep.
You good, Eric? You can see us now?
Oh, yes, I can see you again. You are back.
just leave it.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Probably can't.
Let's just roll with it. We're good.
Cool. Yeah, I can see you guys. You can see me and hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
All right.
Yeah,
Great.
we're not going to mess with anything anymore. Let's get some good content out there. People are already like, "What the heck?" Oh, I didn't tell you guys. Share this. Make sure you're sharing this out.
and yeah, we promise no more issues.
If you made it through the first little issues that we've had, you're still alive, still on watching this. Share this out. We are going to have some fire content coming up for you real soon, right now.
Cool.
Go ahead, man. So let's dive into the story of Eric and how you kind of got into the painting business and found your entrepreneurial way.
Yeah, man. So, for me, I was really fortunate. My dad was an entrepreneur growing up, and that always made a big impression on me because, growing up, I had a good life. I lived I lived up in Fort Collins. I actually grew up here in Fort Collins, Colorado, still live up here. And growing up watching my dad just like running a business, making good money, and he was always around. That was the thing that really left a lasting impression on me, was that he was always around. He was at all my soccer games, and he was, he was just always there. We took some great family vacations, and I had this really great life, growing up. And like I said, that really made an impression on me. And so I didn't have much of a job when I was growing up. I got good grades, I played sports, and that was kind of like the deal I had with my folks. And then got out of high school, I went into college, and at first I was doing engineering, and then I got involved in an internship with College Works Painting. And, Danny and Igor, they worked with College Pro up in Canada. So that's where, we kind of really hit it off together, as we kind of had these parallel lives. But I did College Works Painting as an intern in Fort Collins up at CSU, which was basically an internship where you run your own painting business for the spring and summer. So I knocked the doors, I sold the paint jobs, I hired the painters, I managed the job sites, I worked my ass off, and then I made a little bit of money. But it was an amazing experience, man. I just had an incredible experience doing that. Got the opportunity to get promoted to be a district manager, where I'd have the opportunity to, recruit and train and mentor other college students. And it just made such an impact on me that I was really excited to take that opportunity. And all my buddies, they wanted me to go work at the restaurant with them. They're like, "Oh, dude, you've been working so much. Like, just come work at the restaurant. Like, it's such a great community and all the friends there." And I was like, I feel like I might not get an opportunity to run a team like this again for like years. Like, I feel like I got to take this opportunity. So I did. And, for the next 4 years, I trained and mentored other college students to run a painting company. I ended up training about 75 college students directly. And then I was a co-VP where I was overseeing a couple of district managers who were running teams. And then the last year I was with the company, I was a VP of sales, was the title. But basically what I did was me and 2 other women in the company, one in Washington and one in California, we all started a new subcontracting model for the company. And I had an amazing experience doing that. That year, I really didn't learn a lot that year. I wasn't making great money, and I just gotten out of school. I actually had switched my degree to economics and business. So when I, finished school in that last year, I was like, you know what, it's time for me to get out on my own. For so many years, I was learning and growing, had amazing community and loved the company, but it was just time for me to get out on my own. So that's what I did. Started a painting business that year just to make ends meet. I knew I could make money in the painting business. I really didn't have any intentions of building a painting company at the time. But, from there, basically what ended up happening is I started the painting business. I started pursuing a bunch of other stuff. Some things worked out great, and I didn't like them. I did network marketing, and I was doing really well with that, but I really didn't like the business of network marketing. I did a consulting deal where I was consulting service companies around town and around Colorado. And, I made some money at that. And then I realized I didn't really like consulting, at least the way I was doing it. So over a few years, I started an apparel company and t-shirt company. And once we got all the stuff, I'm like, wait, so I just got to go and vend a ton of events. And I didn't want to do that anymore. So, just kind of hustling, man. I started a whole bunch of stuff. And over 3 years, my painting company kept growing and growing. And so at some point, I decided I was just going to kind of double down on what was working. And at that time is when I started to get into Painter Choice and Painting Business Pro. And a year later, we started opening more painting companies. And, I could keep going and going, but it's probably a good place to start.
So you're a painting mogul then, huh?
You could definitely say that.
Call the painting mogul.
He's trying to capitalize on capture
hey.
all of the painting industry.
No, what did we do? What did we just do about an hour ago? We hopped on Google, guys, and go check out on Google how to start a painting business. And
absolutely. So that's great content. I mean, there's a lot where you're watching this on social media. You're watching this online, right? Yeah. So there's a lot to learn about some of the stuff that Eric has done to build his presence. And I mean, he's got views with hundreds of thousands of views on YouTube, and it's all in the painting industry. So for those of you out there that want to learn something about this from either a painting company or want to learn about the media and the social branding, the personal branding, and how to create really awesome, valuable content, check out some of the stuff he's doing. So let's talk a little bit about that. Like how have you been able to kind of through trial and error learn the ropes of the YouTube and the Facebook and email and that sort of thing? Like, give us some thoughts on your journey there.
It's I'm just not someone who gives up. I'm not someone who stops. I don't really get stopped by failure or by sucking at things. My first year running a painting business as an intern, I was terrible at a lot of aspects of that business, but I had a good attitude and I persisted. And, a couple years ago, I remember going back and I ran across a couple of the first emails I ever wrote when I first started Painting Business Pro. And it made me cringe. They were just so bad. I was embarrassed I'd even put those out. So, I think for me, it was literally, I just kind of followed my nose. I've always been, the original reason I got into an online business with Painting Business Pro and also Painter Choice was I really just wanted to learn how to do business online. At the time I had read The 4-Hour Work Week, and
great book by Tim Ferriss, 4-Hour Work Week.
Amazing book. I've recommended it to a ton of people. I've read it a couple times, and at first when was that
great follow online as well, Tim.
Oh yeah, no, he's a monster. So, when I first read that book, it really inspired me to get into the online business. And at first, the very first year, I actually was able to cut my work time from 20 hours a week on my painting business down to 3 or 4 hours a week. And then I got to the end of the year and I was actually really like kind of bummed out. You know, I golfed a ton. I remember there was a 2-week period where I golfed like 13 out of 14 days and it was a load of fun. But then I got to the end of the year and I was like, crap, man, I could have worked like 10 more hours a week. I still would have had an amazing lifestyle, but I would have accomplished so much more. I'd be in a better position. I'd probably be more fulfilled. And, you know, so I think the lesson I got out of that book now is it's not about working 4 hours. It's about, you know, I've taken some lessons from that book about how do I keep automating things so I can start more things. And, you know, I think that's probably something we'll talk a little bit about is just, you know, I run 9 companies now and, you know, I'm able to do that work in 30 or 40 hours a week because of the principles in the 4-hour work week. So I don't think the purpose of that book is, hey, here's how you can work 4 hours a week. Although you can use those principles to work 4 hours a week. I think the bigger thing is how do I keep expanding on how much value I can create in the amount of time I have? So how do I produce more and more results? It's more like a productivity book, but very practical, very powerful principles. And so anyway, starting reading that's what kind of kicked me into gear. And actually, the funny thing is I failed miserably with Painting Business Pro for a year. So I actually quit on it. I started it, and in the first 6 months, I was selling a training course for $140, and I was spending $150 on advertising to sell it. And then I quit. And then 6 months later, I went to this retreat. If anyone's ever heard of AppSumo, their company is Sumo now. But I went to a little retreat up there, and we made a cool little course about how to get your first 3 customers. We did it as a group. And Noah, you know, the guy who runs this, so shout out to Noah Kagan. He's probably never going to see it.
We were just talking about him earlier on a conference call earlier. That's great.
Yeah, super cool, dude. So we make this course, and AppSumo at the time, they had 600,000 email subscribers. And we made this little course, and they were going to feature me in the email going out. And Noah's like, yo, dude, plug your course, man. Plug that course. I was like, oh, that old thing? And so I did. And when we partied all night, I woke up at like 5 in the morning, and I had like 22 sales, like $3,000 in sales. I'm like, oh my God, people actually want this thing. And then after that, I actually went and made a few YouTube videos. And all of a sudden, the next $12, and so then instead of advertising a course and just saying, hey, here's ads, buy a course, I said, hey, here's ads, sign up for this 4-week series, and I'll teach you how to start a painting business for free. And it's 4 YouTube videos. And the next $12 I spent, I made 2 sales. And so all of a sudden I was profitable. And that was actually the beginning of Painting Business Pro. So I would say that initially it was just a lot of luck. And then I saw YouTube
kind of
work.
had an idea and a vision to kind of teach people what you knew, right?
I knew that was what I knew.
Yeah.
You know, I knew
like,
that.
I'll throw it out there and see if there's a market for this. And
yeah,
there it was.
That's what I knew best, you know, and that was like, hey, if you're going to, you know, a great way to go is selling information and teaching people. And so I was like, well, there's nothing I know better than how to teach people how to start a painting company.
Mm-hmm.
So that was in 2013, 2012, maybe even.
Man, you're like a seasoned veteran now.
Yeah, man.
That was like a month or 2 after Facebook even came out. So back to the whole the kind of the principles learned in that book, because that one impacted me a lot as well and kind of stimulated a lot of the stuff that I'm working on. And I think you hit it on the head where it's not about working 4 hours. It's about maximizing your time to do what you love to do. And those of us who I guess you would consider as pure entrepreneurs, we love the game of entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. We do not love the game of managing companies and managing people. It's entrepreneurship is about creating something that you can nurture and that you can work on, and you can implement fun ideas to help that thing grow and become something great. It's not about creating a business that you become a slave to for 70, 80 hours a week for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. So that's what it's all about. Like for me, you know, once I kind of finally got to the place where I started letting more things go and the company started taking off more, I found myself able to free up more time, not to go play more golf, not to just go travel and just get away. I found myself with more time available to do other entrepreneurial things. Mm-hmm. And that's what I absolutely love to do. So it's really just, it's about giving yourself the opportunity to chase those entrepreneurial dreams while also having a sustainable business that can provide for those opportunities.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
So, well, how do you go about that? So, I mean, I'm a new entrepreneur. So, I mean, me personally, I've owned a business now for 14, 15 months. And, you know, I actually watched your video. I think you did a Facebook Live. It was like a 30-minute Facebook Live kind of talking about the reason why you built this new course, The Fundamentals of Entrepreneurship. And you kind of talked about pretty much the problems that, you know, we're dealing with entrepreneurs, right? You know, you're stressed out, you're working nonstop, you know, financially you're stressed, you can't take a vacation, right? And you're like, why the hell did I do this? And I mean, I can completely relate to that, especially in the beginning stages when you're trying to figure out what the heck you're doing. How does an entrepreneur go from that spot of just completely stressed out and overwhelmed to a spot of living the lifestyle that they want to live?
Well, so I think, you know, there's a couple ways I could answer that. And, you know, one way is, you know, kind of a cop out, but it's about having a process, and it's not something that's going to happen overnight. You know, it's something that takes time to make happen. And so what I teach people is I don't have a 10-week course where by the end of the course you're done. By the end of the course, you're ready to start. Right? It's about a process you're going to follow that over time, you know, improves your effectiveness, improves the value you create per hour. It improves where you're spending your time and where you're not spending your time. And right. So that's, I think, you know, just to kind of preface it, there is no shortcut. There just are no shortcuts. I've looked a lot.
Yeah, how much time have you and I probably spent combined trying to find shortcuts, trying to find an easier way to do something, right?
They just aren't there. And if you know, if I find one, I promise I will tell the world, you know, but I just don't think they're shortcuts. So
hey, not to cut you off, I do wanted to say this real quick. Pedro put this comment here. He said, painting business pro, motivation to start my own business. Yes, thank you. Boom. Check that out, man. That's good stuff right there. Hey, I got that thrown up. Check that out, man. Not to cut you off, but we had at least mention that. That's awesome.
Thanks, Pedro.
That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, man.
No, man, it is.
But yeah, go ahead.
Super inspiring. Super inspiring, man. I really appreciate all the nice comments, and you know, it's more than I would have ever expected, you know, and so I appreciate that, Pedro.
You're doing something right, man. That's awesome.
You know, I think. Well, anyway, so we can talk more about that later. So to answer your question still, Nick, I think one thing is a process, man. I think that it takes time. I think that it takes practice. I think that there's some muscles you need to build that, you know, whatever advice I can give you right now, that advice is going to be only a little bit useful to you now. But if you practice that and you practice that and you practice that, then over time, it's going to start to become incredibly powerful and useful over time. It's literally a muscle to build. So the muscle I think you need to build is a few things. But if we're talking about how to go from working 60 hours a week to 40 hours a week while maintaining your income, so just how do I work less, period, but keep the same results, then it's a really simple little process. And everyone's heard of this before, but no, I don't think what people haven't heard is how do you actually apply it? How is this practical? And it's just the 80-20 principle. Everyone has heard of this principle, but
Pareto's law.
The application of it, I think, is what's missing for a lot of people.
Yeah. Right.
So here's how I explain it, or how I utilize it. And so if you're an entrepreneur, here's how you utilize this principle. So this will take me like a few minutes, so just bear with me. But I think it's a useful way to look at your time, which is, if you consider that we all work for an hourly wage, that's where we're going to start. So you make a certain amount of money this year, you work a certain amount of hours, that is your hourly wage. Okay. So let's just say, Nick, that, you know, your time is $40 an hour, right? Okay. You work 40 hours a week, $40 an hour, $1,600 a week, $78,000 a year, or whatever that works out to, right? So you're 40 an hour, and you work 40 hours a week. Now, your 40 hours a week are not all equal. There are some hours you do that are worth $15 an hour, like data entry, right? If you're doing data entry in your business, or if you're, if you run a painting business and you're going to the paint store, or if you run a roofing company and you're, I don't know what.
Running materials.
Getting materials. All right, great. Same as like running the paint store. So these are things that aren't worth 40 an hour. How do I know that? Because I can hire someone else for 15 an hour to do it. And then, Nick, that means if you're averaging 40 an hour, but you're doing things that are 15 an hour, that means there's also things out there that are probably worth like 60, 70 bucks an hour to you. Mm-hmm. So here's what you do. Take a notepad out, write down everything you do in a week, and then rank it. Most valuable down to the least valuable. And then see how many hours you spend. And if I can take 10 hours out of those 40 that are worth 15 bucks an hour, and I can I can get those hours gone. Whether I delegate it, I automate it, I eliminate it one way or another. Outsource it, whatever, right? Yeah. But there's lots of ways to eliminate those hours. That's going to cost me 150 bucks to get rid of those hours. So now I'm making 150 less. But now I've got 10 more hours. So if I put those 10 hours into the $60 an hour task, I make 600 in those 10 hours. So now I'm up 450 bucks. I just gave myself an $11 an hour raise right there.
Well, not just yourself, give your business that, right?
Yeah,
because we do a similar exercise here, and it's all about trying to figure out what is your time worth. As an entrepreneur, what is your time worth? And that exercise he just went through is a perfect way to do that. You got to illustrate, like, what are the things I'm doing, create those values, and then cross-reference those things that you're doing with the upside of what outcome and what growth and what, things that you can help your business on. Mm-hmm. That's those $60 an hour tasks, right? Those are the tasks that are, if you're going to put more time in marketing and branding and developing something that is just going to be a major value add to your clients, I would put my energy there instead of making sure that you have enough shingles on the job site at 3:30 in the afternoon when the crew calls you and says you need them. You stop what you're doing to go get it. Someone else can do that. You could be focused on, hey, how am I going to generate more leads tomorrow? What is our sales plan? What is how am I going to practice my sales team to get better? Those are the things that you need to be working on. Those are the high value things that we're talking about here.
Well, dude, I think like what's really exciting to me about this, what excites me so much about it is there's no end. There's no end to it.
No.
Once I'm doing, once 20 hours of my week is doing the $70 an hour stuff, let's say it's doing sales. Once my time is all being taken up by sales, then I think, okay, well, how do I need to eliminate this? What's more valuable than doing sales? It's actually building a sales team.
Yeah.
And now I start to duplicate the process. And then at some point, building a sales team became what was taking up most of my time. So then what I did is I brought on an equity partner in my business to take that over. And I started starting more companies because then I'm like, what's more valuable than building a sales team? Building more companies. And now one of the things I'm considering, not now, but in the future, is I need to get a team that can start building these businesses for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Because now I'm spending all this time building businesses.
We got David that actually just threw up a comment here. He says, I was just venting the same stuff last night to my woman. My job is to run the business, not let it run me. Work on it, not in it.
Absolutely. And that's the premise of exactly what Eric and I both do. And that's why we've connected so much is, we've done it the hard way in most cases. We've learned a lot of really tough lessons of trial and error and through that create process, through that create value, through that do a lot of deep dives on ourselves and understand where our own strengths are. And then through this cycle of every time you do the cycle of removing things off your plate, you fill it up with more valuable things. You remove it off, you fill it up with more valuable things. Next thing you know, you look back and you're actually running a business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The same process if you're going to try to build multiple businesses or you're going to try to build one really big business.
Yeah.
It's the same process because as you grow that business, now you're delegating things, you're taking things off your plate and delegating them to a management team or a department head or somebody that's working alongside you that can start taking these tasks off your plate and executing them on not getting them done, but getting them done better than what you could have done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's the missing element here is find people that you can start removing these tasks that are actually better than you are, like better at it than you are. And then all of a sudden you're having meetings with department heads and department managers, like strategy meetings and, marketing meetings and, sales trainings. And the next thing you know, it's like people are just continuing with or without you. It's growing, it's moving. There's movement with or without your involvement.
Right.
And that's when it gets exciting because now your involvement is at its all-time value because every ounce of energy that you put in is magnified 10x, 5x, because everything you do now is just adding fuel to this machine that has already been built.
So what's step one? Because, this sounds all great. All this stuff sounds great. And the thing is that, you hear stuff similar to this, right? But how many actually listen? And I think the reason why they don't listen is because they're so overwhelmed and they're already at 60 hours a week. They're like, are you serious? You're going to have me like try to do something else, right? So it's like, what's step one to get this flowing so you can get the right direction to start decreasing this workload, decreasing everything and starting to feel a little bit better about the direction of the company?
What do you think, Randy?
Yeah, well, I think step one, you have to understand what it is you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, half the time we don't even know what we're doing.
No.
We're literally just playing defense all day, putting out fires. The phone rings. We're just reacting, and being pulled in a million different directions. Like you have to force time to yourself. You have to force it. I mean, maybe it's Sunday morning at 6 a.m. I mean, find time that you can actually sit down and say, okay, what all did I get done last week? Yeah. Just write it all out. Just spend some time with you. It's amazing. I mean, Eric can attest to this. Yeah. With all this technology and all the stuff we have nowadays, it's amazing what you can do as an entrepreneur by yourself with a pen and a notepad or a whiteboard and a dry erase, right?
Eric's the
whiteboard. It's old school, man, but I love my whiteboard. If I get to a rut or I get to a place where I'm like, man, this isn't working, I got to find a way to pivot or find a way to free up more time. I give myself time. Yeah. Right. And I force it and I get my whiteboard and I start writing things out. And I'm like, it'll start to just clear itself up for you. You'll start seeing like, oh man, I wrote down these 30 things on this list. 10 of those I can get off there really easily. Why am I wasting my time with this? Right. Half the time we don't know that we're even doing it until we take time to look at it. Right.
Sometimes it's hard to be honest with yourself.
So that's step one for me is just kind of have a real talk with yourself. Absolutely.
Being honest with yourself, right? I mean, it's almost difficult to be like, man, I just wasted all this time, this many weeks in a row, right? But once you get that up there, you can see that. You can see where you can start to remove that waste of time. Now, Eric, what do you think? Do you have anything to kind of piggyback off of that, or do you have any feelings on what you feel like the first step is?
Well, not really specifically that, but the thing that I think about is, as I'm listening to Randy say all that, is that people are doing the things they're doing because they think that's what they should be doing, or they have to do it. Like, it's not like people are working 60 hours a week because they're like, no, I want to go to the paint store at 5 a.m. and I want to do the walk arounds at 8 p.m. Like, I don't think it's like they're doing it because they want to do it. It's not like they're choosing to work 70 hours a week. They're doing it because they think they have to.
They don't know what they don't know, right?
Right.
They don't know the other way. And so, that's like kind of the tough thing here. And, for me, the only way that I've made an impact with people is like just being really straight with people. Like, you got to grab them and say, no, you're not. No, I took your keys. You can't go to the paint store. Solve it. Mm-hmm. How else can you do it? Like, so anyways, knowing that whoever's listening to this, if you're working more than you want to and you want more time, you've got to get honest with yourself and you've got to be willing to question what you're doing. Because there's other people who are in your exact position. They're running a company. They're doing this. They're doing that. They're in the exact same shoes as you, but they're not dropping the supplies off at the site every day. So you got to be willing to question your beliefs. You got to be willing to question what you're doing, and you've got to be willing to test stuff. You got to be willing to commit. You got to be willing to draw a line in the sand. What's that?
Try new things, take risks, right? I mean, it's entrepreneurship, man. Why are we not taking risk when it comes to, let me try to develop this position that I think can free up my time. We're too scared to invest in a person or start paying somebody because what if we lose business? We're too focused on what if we lose business instead of, hey, if this person can free up my time, now I can put more effort on gaining more business. Mm-hmm. It's a risk. Yes, there's a risk, but you got to risk. And the best risk you can take when it comes to entrepreneurship is human capital. investing in people that you believe can help get you to the next level. Yes, there's risk, but you got to be willing to take that risk if you really want the freedom that we all say we want.
So how are you convincing good people to work with you when you're a brand new company rather than somebody who's been established and has built a brand up or has a reputation of a good company already?
You got to cast a vision. You got to paint the dream, man. If you truly, it doesn't matter the size of your company.
Yeah.
And I want to get your input on this too, Eric.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the size. You're just getting started. And if you are passionate about what you're doing, you have a purpose behind it, you understand your why, and you have this vision of, impacting an industry in a certain way, you can paint that picture to other people to jump on board and help you, right? You got to lead, be more of a leader versus just someone who's starting a business just to make money, right? So you got to be able to kind of cast that vision early on if you want to really get people to buy in.
Is it usually casting that vision to people that you already know or have had interactions with? Or are you hiring people that, responded to an advertisement?
You know what? I tend to, I guess there's probably some interesting dialogue here, but we've kind of been a model to build from within.
Yeah.
It started with family, and then, from there, extension of family, and then it just an extension of employees and employees, friends. And then now it's anytime we want to hire somebody, we tap into our own existing culture, and we almost always find somebody. It works great to a certain extent, but if you're really trying to grow and really trying to fill certain positions that you can't really tap into your general resource, look outside of your inner circle, if you will, and you can go on websites like Indeed or that sort of thing, but you still got to be able to paint that vision and cast that vision of where you want this company to go if you want to get people to jump on board and go with you, right?
You know what? Let's dive into a question real quick because we got some engagement. I definitely want to touch on. So first, we'll bring up Janice here. Janice was on the show a couple episodes ago. She says having the process laid out in the franchise model has served you well, Eric. For those who have started up on their own, can benefit from coaches or a mentor. So right here, we got a couple of coaches, we got a couple of mentors, and it can make all the difference in your business. I know you've used. I
am a coach, and I coach a number of roofing contractors, and we're looking, we're gaining new clients all the time, and I have multiple coaches.
Yeah.
Little secret. I have more than one coach. I spend probably 5 times the amount of money on coaching as I charge my clients. Right. It is what it is, but I understand the value of it, and
you see the return.
The return is exponential. What say you on that, Barstow?
No, I'm exactly in the same boat, man. I think every single year I probably spend more money than I did the year before on me getting coached.
Yeah, right.
At the end of the day, all of my life is a function of what I'm capable of.
Yep.
If I want a better life, I want a better business, I need to be better.
Well, you were even talking when we were talking about marketing strategies and stuff like that before the show. You were even saying, you're like, hey, I got this course, I got this course, I got this course, I got this. You know what I mean? I'm like, right on.
He's buying courses left and right.
I just had to tell my assistant Carl, I'm like, dude, I need your help. I need you to make sure I don't buy any more courses for a little while.
I'm spending all of my profit on other courses.
We might have to quote that into the show somehow. Okay. Okay, so we actually have another comment here. I think it's Bouchard. Let's see. He says, I run a non-smoking and pet-friendly painting company, and it's been kind of difficult finding the right people. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
You know what? Open and close with that. If you're selling yourself, and sorry, that one triggered right there. If you're selling yourself as a non-smoking, pet-friendly painting company, you're not just marketing to clients with that. You're marketing to people to work with you with the same strategies. That's what my instant kind of reaction to that would be.
Eric,
how about yourself, Eric?
Yeah, you got any thoughts on that, Eric?
The reality is that is going to make your market smaller, your labor pool smaller. That's a reality, and you just got to see what's more important to you, and if that's going to be what's really important to you, then part of the deal is it's going to be harder to find labor. Yeah. And it probably will benefit your sales as well, but there's a cost to it, and you got to deal with reality. We live in reality, and the reality is there's a lot of smokers out there, especially if you look at the trades. There's a lot of smokers, and you might be eliminating half to 70% of your labor pool. Now, having said that, the labor pool is massive. And so what I always come back to is, if you're just willing to take the case that I'm 100% responsible for the results I'm getting, all of my results are a function of the actions I take. Good results, great results, extraordinary results, awful results are a function of a particular set of actions. So the actions you're taking are getting the result you're getting. And I believe that even with the labor pool being smaller, you shouldn't have trouble finding great people. So what I would look at is make sure you don't get caught in the trap of blaming that as the reason you're not finding great people, and consider that maybe it's your ad or your call or your interview or your comp plan or your company or the way you present yourself or something like that. Because most likely you got two options. You can stop. You see, the thing is if you stop being non-smoking or you stop being pet friendly, you might still have the same problem.
Yep.
Yep.
And that's a lesson that all of us entrepreneurs can use. I mean, we make excuses for stuff. We try to find a reason to rationalize why something is not working.
Right.
Okay. And it's the entrepreneurs that look at those situations as opportunities to get better, to do something different, to go against the grain, to challenge that status quo. Those are the entrepreneurs that come out on top and do amazing things.
Yep. Hey, we got another question here too. So we got Jorge. He says, how can you compete with low bids? Who wants to head that one on?
Fire away, brother. I like this one. Eric kills this one, I think.
If you're hearing from customers that you're not winning the job because someone else was cheaper, it's not because they're cheaper. It's because everything else is the same and they're cheaper.
Boom. You
don't look at a 100-inch TV and then a 40-inch TV that's $1,000 less and say, well, that's some bullshit. Why is that one $1,000? That one's $1,000 less. Like, yeah, it's a smaller TV. You're selling a 40-inch TV for the price of a 100-inch TV. You need to get in there and show more value. And there's some really easy ways to do this. There's some really, really easy ways to do this. Our industry is terrible, you guys. I'm sure roofing is the same way.
It's not that hard in either industry to separate yourself.
The bar is so low.
It's not that hard.
And so are you really there for the customer? How detailed are you? How thorough are you? How professional are you? And that's it. One of the things we do too is we're just more detailed. One of the things we do, if you're in the painting business, you can relate to this, but you go to the north side of the house, you get down on your hands and knees, and you look at the bottom side of the bottom two boards. 50% of the time, it's going to be peeling, and 50% of the time it's peeling. No other contractor looked, no other contractor noticed, and now you are more credible than everybody else because you found problems that no one else found. That is no longer comparable. They understand why you're more expensive now. Like, that's just one little example, but combating if you're getting the objection that's about price, it's not about price. It's not about price. That's what they're saying because that is how it occurs to them. But don't believe what your customers tell you. You need to realize that anything you're hearing is a result of what you're doing or not doing. And in this case, you're not showing enough value. And so, that's kind of the psychological theory about it. But when it really comes down to it, Jorge, you got to develop a really good sales process. And if you don't know how to do that, seek out people who do. Randy and I and Nick, we're all meeting before this because I've been doing some of this internet marketing stuff and online and YouTube and Google and all this crap for a long time. So I'm helping them out with it. They're not trying to reinvent the wheel. And you know what I told them? I learned all of it because I paid to learn it. I bought, like we were just joking about it, I bought 1 million courses. So you use the resources. Don't be afraid of investing in yourself. That's the only investment that is going to be worth it forever. You get to be you forever. Make yourself a better you. Invest in yourself and find your weaknesses, find your problems, and pay other people for their knowledge.
Yep. Boom. That was good. So Jorge actually said, thanks for the advice. So hopefully he ends up using it. Janice said over here, homers can keep shopping bids. There will always be someone lower than you. I do want to take this real quick, kind of back to the labor thing, just because our boy Andrew, who's actually out here in Denver, he recently purchased a company called Creek Jack out here in the Denver area. And he has a question about it. So he's actually going through this right now. So I want to make sure we touch on it so we can give him some help. But he says, labor shortage, just lost a few people because my business is seasonal. Okay. So he says, how do you find the right people at the right price? Overpay for quality or underpay for labor?
I think the rule of thumb when it comes to that, not just labor, but anybody, all employees, is you kind of need to understand what the market is and try to be on the upper end of that market and back that up with just an awesome culture and great values. And you'll be able to not only attract, but keep good people. But more specifically, I work in winter. I have a service department. We have service guys that can't work. Like we're pretty much shut down this week. It's snowing and raining. We can't really do much. I mean, we're not going to get on a wet roof. That's unsafe. So that's just not going to happen. So I try to always have something for them to work on, either in the warehouse or some sort of project to work on in the rain days. And what we also did is we took one of our old trucks, bought a plow, put it on the front of the truck, found a couple landlords and got a couple contracts to plow snow. So when our guys can't get on the roof, they have the opportunity to go plow snow and they actually make more money with the snow plowing. Yeah, the hours get a little crazy, but again, it's like, so it's like, oh, okay, cool. I'll get excited about that because now I'm almost making time and a half instead of sitting at home doing nothing, And then also for like roofing or a cyclical business, depending on how big the gap is when you can't do work. But generally in Colorado, we have the perception that it's cold and snowy all the time, but really it may last a couple, 2-3 days. And then you're going to have a couple days that you can work. And then maybe a day or two that's cold and you can't do much. And you just got to kind of balance that cycle out and do as much work as you can on those good days and enjoy the relaxation on the crappy days. And that's how I would pitch it to a service people. But also it's a good idea to budget for that as well. You got to think, nobody wants the uncertainty of, hey, am I getting paid this week if it snows? Right. So we have a minimum pay, regardless. No matter what. Yes, no matter what, regardless of weather. If we're shut down for an entire week, they still get a certain percentage of their weekly paycheck. That way they know they're not losing a whole week just because of the weather. I think roofers, painters, a lot of companies can benefit from this. And realistically, it's happened, maybe a couple times throughout the winter where I have to pay a full week's labor and then we don't have any revenue or any projects going. But if you budget for that ahead of time, it is so worth the investment. Yeah. Keeping someone long term and having them happy and working when they have the ability to do so, and also collecting a check, even if it's a smaller amount, having that security is really what people want.
Yep. And what's funny is Andrew actually just commented. He said he bought a 3/4 ton for that reason.
There you go, buddy.
So hey, he might see you guys out there plowing snow, man.
Yeah. We got an old Dodge Ram with broken headlight. Put a plow on it. That's all we use it for.
Yep. We got a couple more questions. So we'll kind of try to go back and forth with this. Let's see here. So could you quote your work as a contract too?
What do you mean?
Yeah, so maybe
can you clarify that, Jorge?
Yeah, Jorge, if you give us a little bit more information on that, that'd be cool, and we'll make sure that we touch on that. Janice, what we got here? Janice says 100, Randy. That can be training, learning during a cold week. There you go. Right, so make sure you continue the education. We got a question from James.
You could be logging into the Roofing Academy or the Painting Business Pro and training yourself, training your staff. Yep. That's what you do when it's cold and rainy out.
Yep.
Right. Get training, get better.
Improving. Yeah. Don't take the day off.
Improve, get better.
Improve. Okay, so what do you guys think of this one? We can all talk about this a little bit, but James asked, what do you think about getting a professional website?
Well, do you want to be in business for a long time or a short time?
Boom. I think that answered it right there.
Too real?
Yeah. I mean, that's
it. You think about this as a consumer.
Yeah.
You're trying to buy something and you look at 2 websites two TVs. You're looking for TVs. You look at one website and it's got just one boring picture and it's a whole lot of words that you got to read. You're like, I'm not going to look at this crap. And then you look at another website that has a really cool picture, a video, a 5-star review.
Yep.
Which TV are you going to buy? Give
me those reviews. Give me that beautiful TV.
There you go.
Boom.
You got to invest in that. That doesn't come free. You can do it yourself. There's Udemy's and YouTube on how to build your own website. I would highly recommend not doing that because your time is way more value doing other things.
Yep.
But you have to budget for a website. I mean, every startup company, if you have a vision to actually build a sustainable company that's going to grow, I mean, a website is absolutely essential. I mean, that's like number 3 on the checklist of starting a roofing company or any sort of company.
I'll just add real quick, just for James, just to get a little less of a smart ass answer for him that I gave. What I'm really saying, James, is if you're planning on being around a long time, no kidding, you want to invest in your online presence. I know that's what Randy and Elite has done an incredible job of. At least one of the things they've done an amazing job of. And I know we've done a really good job with that with our painting companies, and it generates us a tremendous amount of business being at the top online in multiple cities and having a great website and everything.
Yep.
But depending on where you're at with your business, you need to be smart with your finances too. So your website is typically one of those things that is an investment. It doesn't pay you off right away. You know, if you're just starting, I don't tell people to go and blow their money on a website at first. I say build a free one because you can make a free one look about as good as an expensive one. Look, it's not going to rank on the top of the search engines. It's not going to drive you leads, but it's going to be like, oh, look, they have a website. It's a credibility thing for when you're selling a job. And, you know, really to get your website ranked high, it's a big investment. It takes a lot of time. You got to put a lot of money into it. You don't want to do that unless you can afford to do it. You got to be smart about where you're putting your money. So, you know, I usually tell people it's like, hey, you know, $500 to $1,000 a month for really good custom SEO that's going to get you to the top. Like that's how competitive it is now, at least in a lot of our markets. You know, so if it's going to cost $500 to $1,000 a month, you need to be in a position with your business where you can set aside $500 to $1,000 a month every month to really deck out your online presence and SEO. So, you know, step your way up. But yeah, you absolutely need to at least have one. And as your business grows, have a better one that ranks higher. And that's a more, you know, useful answer for you.
Yeah, to this day, we're constantly adding to the website. I mean, we have new content, we're writing blogs, putting new videos out every single week, every month. It's all very dialed in. But we've scaled that up as we've grown our business. You know, just like you were saying. I mean, you've done the same thing as you grow a business. It's okay. Now we're looking at, instead of just putting $1,000, okay, let's look at like a percentage. Right. You know, if we're making X amount, can we afford 1,500? Can we afford 2,000? Can we afford maybe this month we have a little bit extra cash flow, so maybe we'll do some AdWords spend and try to just, you know, use some AdWords to get some leads, but also get us to rank a little higher. You know, because you got to invest in that to get those rankings to come up. You know, that algorithm is and
it's a competitive market too, especially when if you're looking at the marketing situation, SEO for like roofing companies, for example. How many roofing companies are there out in Denver?
Like over 4,000, 4,500.
So it's going to take some time too. So you have to make sure that you understand with a lot of those approaches, especially with the organic side, that it's going to take some time. But we got a couple more comments in here. So we got our boy Ronnie. So we called him Ronnie Showtime Smith. He was on the show last week until the power went
missed
out.
You, buddy.
Yeah,
What's up, man. Ronnie? Good to see you, man.
He brought so much fire, man, that the power went out, man. He just couldn't handle it. So it went out, right?
He broke the internet.
Yeah, right. He broke the internet. He's like Kim Kardashian or something. But he goes, he says, Randy, absolutely. And use your slow times for internal training to make them better, which makes the company stronger. Love it. Remember, guys, hey, if you guys want to check out Ronnie, he was in the show last time. He will be speaking at the Job Nimbus Solution Summit. So check him out. He's got some fire. But we do have
Ronnie, where do you find that training that you need?
Oh, where do you find that training?
I don't know. Where do we go if we want to find training and find an outlet for that?
Right. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I think Painting Business Pro is definitely a pretty sweet virtual training platform if you're in the painting business. And there is a roofing one out there as well.
I think I've heard of one.
Academy, I think, or something like that, right? But we got Jorge. Actually, he came back with that question that we had a little bit of confusion on. And he says, does the estimate work as a contract for the customer?
Jorge, I'm not sure. I guess it depends on how you do it. But the way that we do it is we go out, we quote the job, and then we write up what we say is our estimate. But it's a page that outlines everything we're going to do and materials and prep work and notes and everything. It's got the prices on there, and then they sign it, and that's the contract. That's the only way we do it. So our estimate is not an estimate; it's a price, and it's the job. And so there aren't two things. There's just, if we call up a customer, we do an estimate. That's what they get, and it's the contract. So I don't know if you're in the painting business or the roofing business. If you're in the painting business, you can go to paintingbusinesspro.com and just the homepage, just scroll down, and you can just download our contract, our estimating forms, and all that stuff that you can use right away, and that'll walk you through a little bit. But if you're in the roofing business, Randy can probably answer that better than I can.
Could you put that link in the comments as well when we're done here, or whatever?
I'll drop it in there quick.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And then also too, another thing. Let's see here. Let's see. That's what I meant. You answered my question. Thank you. Awesome, Jorge. I appreciate the engagement, man.
And let me add a little insurance twist on that one. So we got a lot of roofers that watch. So
yeah,
if you're estimating, you're doing bid work, absolutely. I mean, that should be one document that covers everything. You know, you want everything line items that you are doing, and even more importantly, you want exclusions of things that you are not doing, so you don't get kind of on the hook for those things later on. But when it comes to insurance, we've actually recently adopted a new kind of strategy where we have a scope sheet, which details everything that's going on in the project. And then our actual contract has a lot more, legal and attorneys that wrote it all up, because when you're dealing with insurance, there's a lot of legal things that go into that. So our contract is actually a lot more detailed when it comes to insurance. So make sure that if you're doing insurance work, get with your attorney, or again, on our website, you can email me directly. We have a copy of our contract, but it's for Colorado, so you can use it as a template. But I would highly advise giving that to your local attorney, because there are different laws in every state. So
if you're in Colorado,
do not just take a contract and plug and play, because you can really get yourself in trouble that way. So make sure to have your legal department or an attorney take a look at that. But if you're doing insurance work, it's important that you have a very detailed, descriptive contract to do that stuff.
Cool. Awesome. That's perfect. And Bouchard just said, hey, exactly the way I do it, which I learned from Eric. Let's see here. And then Jorge said, I am in the painting business, so that's perfect there. Esteban, are you guys nationwide? You guys nationwide? Are you talking about what? Yeah. Can we get a little more details on that? Is it the training companies? Is it whoever might be? Just give us.
I would easily, the virtual training is virtual. You know, it's training. It is nationwide. If we do come to your office, we fly, and there's different things. But the virtual stuff, that's not just nationwide. It's worldwide. I mean, we got people in other countries that we're working with in that really get a lot of value out of the content. But locally, for myself, our roofing company, we keep it local. I mean, we have licenses, and we've worked in different states, but we really found that we wanted to be the best roofer in our home state as we possibly could, and we put all of our energy into that. So I know that Eric has a little bit of a different model, so I'd like to hear your thoughts on that as well.
So before we dive into 1 second, Eric, I hate to cut you off again, man, but we did have Ronnie say this though. So make sure you guys are reaching out to him if you guys do want to go to that Job Nimbus Solution Summit. What he's doing is, because the last episode with the power went out, he says, hey, we're going to give 50% off all the tickets. So if anybody's interested in going, again, it's in Austin, Texas on the 22nd and the 23rd. The keynote speaker is this guy right here. We got our boy Randy. Yeah, somebody over there, I think. But so make sure you send an email to him. I believe he's going to put in the comments, but I believe it's training@jobnimbus.com. If you email him, he'll give you that discount code or the coupon
50%.
Code
is that right? Is that right?
That's right, man. 50%.
Perfect. That's awesome. Thanks, Ronnie. That's great, man. So for those of you who have been teetering, I know a lot of people are like, I'm going to go. I'm not going to go. I'm not. Right. Yes, go. 50% off. You can't beat it. The training and the experience and the networking and getting to connect with people
getting out of your business
invaluable.
Man, getting out of your business for a little bit, right? And just focusing on what you can do to improve it, maybe for next year, right? Whatever it might be. But okay. What were we talking about again? Eric was about to talk about something else.
That nationwide comment.
Yeah, the nationwide. Boom. Thank you.
So I'll share something that might actually be useful about this too. So we, like I said, going back to the 4-hour work week and that whole idea of automation. So what I noticed was at some point I was doing about 20 hours a week in my painting business. We were a $650,000 company. My business partner, Ben, at the time, he was a sales guy, been working with me for a few years, and I just felt like he had earned it. So I said, hey, man, here's the deal. I'm going to give you 50% of the company. You've earned it. I've been talking about this. So here's 50% of the business. You don't have to pay me a penny for it, but the deal is you run the business now. And that took me from 20 hours a week to 2. Ben had just gotten out of school. He grew the business from 650,000 to 1.1. I ended up making actually a little bit more money the next year, working about 2 to 3 hours a week working with Ben. Now that freed up my time, so I started opening new companies. Right, so we started one in Michigan. It worked. So then we ended up promoting one of our sales reps to start a business. That worked. And then we promoted another one. That worked. And then someone found me through YouTube, the guy in Michigan, and then another one in Kansas City. That worked. So then we're like, oh my God, we're gonna go huge. We're gonna start 100 companies. They're all gonna be 5 million, and then they're gonna be 10 million. Then we're gonna be $1 billion painting company. Let's go. And in 2015. I believe it was 2015. We started 9 new painting companies in 6 months. Spent about $70,000 to get these 9 off the ground. Ben was flying all over the country launching painting companies, and by August, 8 of them were closed. And it was brutal, So then we learned the lesson there, and so now we actually operate 5 painting companies. So we got one in Tulsa, Oklahoma, one in Michigan, one in Fort Collins, one in Denver, one in Castle Rock, and eventually our companies in Fort Collins will pretty much cover. Our company in Colorado will all pretty much cover all of Colorado. But just those 5 locations for now. I think in a few years, we'll start expanding a whole bunch because we're going to need a lot of opportunities for the people in our business to be promoted. And for them to be promoted, we need a bigger business. So it kind of goes hand in hand in that. So right now, not even close to nationwide. We're not a franchise. We have partnerships. So we own 50-50 all these companies with our partners. So anyways, that's the long answer. But the thing that I think I want to mention that's useful is, guys, I got my ass kicked that year. And I know Randy's probably got a million stories of brutal failure. And I read this really great thing the other day that just resonated with me so much. And it was about these guys who just announced about their business that they've got 1 million email subscribers 2.5 years into their business. They're killing it as this media company. And they're going to share all these stories this week about what they've learned along the way. And they said, just a heads up, though, pretty much it's really depressing, really frustrating, and you basically feel like you're failing the entire time, even when you're successful. And I don't think there's any better way to say it. Success is riddled with failure. Our success is built on failure. And for all the success you see, there's so many failures behind it. How do we know to do what we do? Well, it's not because we know. It's because we tried everything else and we got our ass kicked, and now we're doing this. So, we're not opening all these companies anymore. We've learned that lesson. The next time we go and start expanding a ton, we'll know what to do. But, I just see so many people get so frustrated in their business with their results. And you just don't need to. It's not, nobody else is killing it. It's not what you think it is. It's just not, people I think are setting themselves up with unrealistic expectations, and then they get frustrated when it isn't that way. It's never that way. It's never like you get somewhere and you're like, I made it. Nice. You get there and then you want more.
It doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't exist. And believe it or not, people see the success and that sort of thing, which there's back to the 80-20, right? You see 20% of what actually goes on behind the scenes and all the effort and the stress and the battles with depression and the families that get ruined, the relationships that get ruined, like the money that's not there when you need it. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into entrepreneurship. I've already kind of working on my next book, and the title is Overnight Success in 10 Years or Less.
I like that.
Right? The whole premise is I'm going to paint a picture of a 10-year journey to success, which is literally just epic fail after epic fail after epic fail to what you think is success, right?
Yeah.
Do we ever actually find success, or are we successful the day we start?
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's some philosophical question for you to be thinking about. You know, I'm of the notion that I think you're successful the day you start.
Yeah.
Like we have this whole thing of chasing success, but really success is just growing and moving and getting better every day.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you wake up every day and you're getting better, you're successful in my mind.
So, okay. I love that response from both of you guys. So, you know, as we start to kind of wrap this thing up, what do you guys have for like a key takeaway for maybe that entrepreneur who feels like they can keep failing, or the entrepreneur that feels like they can't make any money, or they're stressed out and they're sacrificing all this stuff and nothing's clicking? What advice do you have to that person to make sure that they keep going?
You want to take that one first, and we'll both do this, and we'll close up with that, or what?
Yeah, we'll do that. It's that is such a tough question, because I could probably spend like several days with someone covering that one. I think though, you know, just Randy,
Here you go. I got one for you, buddy. I already had it. I was seeing if you had something teed up, but I mean, that's a challenging one, man. Thanks for the question. He's always stumping us one way or another.
Got to.
You know what? It's as simple as this. If you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting.
dude, that's so funny. That's almost exact. That's like almost word for word what I was gonna say. But then I'm like, oh, that's just so vague.
It's cliche, but I mean, it works. If you think about it at its core, do something different. Wake up tomorrow and do something just a little bit different than you did today.
Yeah. Well, I think,
and maybe you'll get a different result.
To add to
and
that,
then you measure that, and then you do it again, and then you do it again, and then you do it again. And all of a sudden, you're getting results. Things are changing. Things are moving out for the better. You're freeing up your time. You know, you're the one less fire at a time, and then you just keep getting better. That's all you can do. That's what success is. You just keep getting better.
Yep.
The only thing I'd add to it, Randy, because I agree, that's why I was like stumped on it, is I'm like, man, I that's the simple answer, and then the complexity that goes behind that, is what's tough, right? So the one thing I would add to what Randy said is, yeah, whatever you're doing, if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to keep getting the same results. So one thing you've got to know is you've got to know what that dream looks like. What is that future you're committed to? And you know what the future is you're committed to, and then you just keep pressing and you keep changing your actions until you get it. And then there's and then over time, you're going to start to have better and better strategies to getting what you want. And one of the things that's always worked really good for me is just seeking out people who have already done it and learning from them, and that's the only shortcut that exists, is standing on other people's shoulders. It's the only one that I know of that exists and doesn't.
That is exactly why we are here doing this on this call, on this podcast right now, is that exact reason. I mean, I was introduced to Eric because he was doing this painting thing. He was helping contractors, and he had a virtual training platform. And I was introduced to him as like, okay, let me meet this guy and pick his brain, right? And then after I met him, I was like, oh crap, I was doing it all wrong, and I completely changed everything. Yeah. But that's it. Totally, yeah. It's mentorship. Find somebody who has what you want or knows what you want to know, and latch onto them and learn from them as much as you can.
Yep. And that's my favorite part about being part of the show is, I get to learn from people like you, or we have these guests that hop on that just bring the fire, and then I get to throw questions that I might be able to relate to as well. Right. And so boom, it makes all the difference in the way you see things. But I think that was a great way to kind of wrap this up. This was episode 31 of the Start, Build, Grow show. Eric, thank you so much for hopping on, man. This was awesome. This was some great stuff. And I think a lot of people that are watching that are roofing, painting, whatever, business, they can get a lot of value from this. So thank you so much, Eric. We really appreciate it.
I just love it.
And check Eric out on YouTube, on all the social media platforms, the Painting Business Pro.
Just type in how to start a painting business.
And you'll find it. You will find it.
Start from there.
For us, you can check us out at sumamedia.co.
Yep.
And theroofingacademy.com, and obviously on Facebook and YouTube and all the social media channels. So Stay in touch, like the show, share this show, share the show out, like our page, check us out on the Roofing Academy, check us out on the Painting Business Pro. We look forward to connecting with you and carrying these conversations on and helping you grow your business. That's what we're all about.
Thanks, hey guys, appreciate you. Take care, guys. It was great.